Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a little special edition of Sports Nonsense and Whiskey, hanging with my boy Pinky. Tuesday, September 6th. You know what that means, buddy?
Oh, man, it means a lot of nonsense, some football, and probably for me tonight, a lot of whiskey.
Yeah, I'm gonna be sipping on mine as well, but it means football is right around the corner, my guy.
Week one, my man. We are in week one.
Thursday happens, then Sunday happens, then Monday happens, and we are rolling.
Dude, Monday. Oh, dude, Monday is going to be so much fun. I'm so excited to have the Broncos back on Monday Night Football. Last year, without Broncos on Monday Night Football, it just didn't seem right.
They didn't deserve it, so it's not a surprise. But
when every team gets a primetime game, Broncos last season did not really deserve one.
They got a Thursday night game, didn't they?
They did, but it would have been nice to keep their Monday Night Football streak going.
Yeah, well, you have to have a good team to do that.
I mean, you can always throw them up against a division rival, and it's at least interesting.
I guess. I'm not going to homer that one. They didn't deserve it. But because the season's starting, we promised you people that we are going to release our schedule rankings. We have gone through every single team's schedule. Based on every team's schedule, we have come up with a record for every single team, which gives us 7 playoff teams in both division or both leagues. We're not going to do Super Bowl predictions or anything like that tonight. We're just going to give you what we think the regular season records will be. We'll give you who that means 7 playoff teams are in each side. And then, you know what? Next week, we'll walk you through who we think is going to roll through the playoffs and make it to the Super Bowl. And we'll give you a Super Bowl prediction after week one, just because, it's kind of fun. Talk about week one, and then we'll let you know what we think about how it goes from there. But figured, giving you guys these records, I think there's going to be plenty to talk about, and there's going to be some hate from some people for sure. So by all means,
we've got to set some expectations. These were done like 3 weeks ago. Again, it's done with if I lined this team up and this team up, which team do I think would win? Now, again, weird shit happens, right? And I think we took the home into account on some games, but I think we literally just said, if I line up this team and this team, who should win that game? And that's what we marked down, and we went through it.
And we looked at everybody healthy. We're not projecting for injuries from preseason or this or that. We're projecting week one. People are on the field. We're rolling. The only thing we didn't do that with was Cleveland and Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, we had to reevaluate.
That has been modified. I think we were still probably a little too generous on Cleveland, but we'll get there. So with that being said, that's where we're going to spend a majority of our time tonight. But as always, you know us. We've got our whiskey in hand. We've got to talk some nonsense, things that were, things that may be, things that have never come yet to pass, if you will. So on that note, Pinky, how was your week, my friend?
Oh, dude. I learned how old I am this weekend. I got so hammered Friday.
Explain to the people why you got hammered.
We went up to Red Rocks and saw 9 Inch Nails. And, we tailgated. We drank during the concert. We drank after the concert while we waited for traffic.
How was that show?
It was really awesome. I hadn't been to a Red Rocks show in, probably a decade or more.
Oh, wow.
Maybe
okay.
15. It'd been a long time since I'd seen a show at Red Rocks. So I'd forgot the walk up to Red Rocks.
Oh, yeah.
And then the walk up to our seats. My quads were burning.
Sure.
It was crazy. But so what was really, really cool is Denver was getting just pounded with lightning. So all we have is 9 Inch Nails is playing. They've got their light show. Everything's great. And then right above where I'm looking, it's nothing but lightning.
Oh, sick.
It is awesome. The lightning is so bad that one of my buddies was like literally freaking out. Sam was freaking out, I should just say.
That sounds about right.
And I was just like, I mean, maybe it's because I'm old. I'm at that point. Like, if lightning strikes me, it's my time. Like, I'm not going to worry about running over.
Lightning isn't necessarily a death sentence either. It could just be, an awakening.
And it was so funny because he was running over to the, like, where the stairs are, and where the stars are, there's trees. And I'm like, what's most likely to get hit? A tree. And so watching him kind of go back and forth was kind of funny. But yeah, they put on a great show. I was kind of sad because I kept, and again, this is me just wanting to be a jokester. Everybody knows I'm kind of a jokester. Oh, someone's coming into the room, Caleb.
Yeah, I've got a pup that wants to say hello because I didn't shut the door all the way.
So I was hoping he would play closer than the hand that feeds.
Yeah.
And he didn't play either one.
Man, I'm not a big fan when artists decide not to play their
and
biggest
I'm like,
songs.
Those are like your two biggest songs, and you don't play them at all.
I don't care if you don't like them. Like, you should just know that, the fans want to hear those.
The 3 shows before this one, they played it. I'm pretty sure they played it at the second night because they were playing at Red Rocks the following night. I bet they played it that night. Why did we not get it? Right?
Yeah, that's messed up.
I was going to take a video of it. I was going to post on Facebook and dedicate it to my wife, and I didn't get that chance.
That's unfortunate, my friend.
I was sorely disappointed because I know my wife would chuckle a little bit, but then she'd be like, "You suck." Obviously, because that's a pretty, it's a pretty, nasty song when you listen to it. A little bit. Followed that up. By the next day, we had a fantasy draft at 6 p.m. at O'Malley's, but we started the pre-gaming at 1 p.m.
Oh boy.
And O'Malley's was fantastic, man. We had the whole upstairs.
Yeah, I told you would.
We had 250 wings.
Oh, delicious.
We crushed them.
That's because they're the best wings you can get.
And we got them extra crispy.
Yeah.
And the group was there, and then a couple guys came up from Texas to see 9 Inch Nails, so they came over and hung out with us. Andy showed up. He came over and hung out. He actually stole a boot from a restaurant in Denver, an actual beer boot.
Yeah.
There's a German restaurant across from the Mini dealership up there, and he was getting work done on the Mini, and he was at the restaurant, and he's always wanted to get a glass boot, and they don't sell them, but they make you put down a $45 deposit.
Because everybody
so he was like,
them.
If I have to put a $45 deposit, I'm just going to walk out the door with it, and you can charge me $45. That's the same as buying it, right? And so sure enough, that's what he did. And when he was walking on the way out and paid his tab, someone gave him a note that said, "We know what you did, naughty, naughty." So
nice.
So Andy was there, and he kept ordering beers, pouring them into his boot, and then drinking them out of the boot. We just had a blast, man. And then we went to the after party. I had to be kind of the noise Nazi, which wasn't fun. But I kept trying to let folks know, hey, where we're at, we're okay. But if we keep getting louder like we are, like the cops are going to get called.
Sure.
It's up. It was right there. It's right there on High Street, right behind the school, right by the little log cabin church or whatever.
I know exactly where it was.
It was right there. And I was like, hey guys, just stop talking for a sec. Do you hear that? What do you hear? Nothing. Right? That's what people normally hear up here at night. When they hear like 15 drunk dudes, like, it's going to be a problem. So Saturday night, not too bad for me, but Friday or Saturday morning when I woke up after the concert, I had a serious hangover. It was just bad. And I just was like, why did I do this to myself? And of course, just started drinking again.
Yeah, just run right back into it. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
But
Yeah, I was bummed I wasn't able to make the draft. I had planned on crashing that. That was the goal, and it just didn't work out, unfortunately.
that happens sometimes, man. So it was a really good time. I had a great weekend. It was basically all football related. Wife let me have kind of Sunday where she didn't really make me do too much Sunday, and then Monday I had to do some house stuff, kind of make up for the long weekend. But it was a good time, man.
Nice. Happy to hear that. Glad you enjoyed yourself, sir.
I did a little too much.
Solid. Yeah, I didn't do a whole lot. I hung out with Zach. They got one of those little pizza ovens. Made us some pizzas. Hung out with him for a couple hours and headed home. Put the little guy to bed and crashed.
I don't know. Sam might watch this later. Thanks again for the bottle, Sam. Little Ling Whiskey. I don't know if you've had Ling yet, Caleb.
Can't say I've had Ling.
It's an Irish whiskey. It's got kind of a sweet taste on the front end with a kind of a sharp bite on the back end. But you put it on some ice, it kind of thins it out pretty good. This is really good. Like I think this is definitely better than Jameson or Kern. I don't know. I got to get another bottle of Proper 12. I'd have to put it up against a bottle of Proper 12 to see if it was as good as Proper 12. But it is definitely a good Irish whiskey. It is pinky approved, as they would say.
Nice. I myself am drinking a little Copper Sky cigar blend. It's a single batch. Bottle 33 is what I ended up with. So very tasty stuff. Very tasty. I'm very happy with it. It's a birthday present from the in-laws. So delicious.
Is that from Arizona?
Mm-mm. No, they sent the money and I went to the store and picked out something myself. But walked in and I said, I want something that I haven't had before. And they start naming off like all the normal stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's what I just told you.
I need to get over to the
store. And they're like, well, we have this. This is a one of one, and we don't plan on getting any more because it's a single batch. And I was like, give it to me. Let's try it. And it's delicious.
I need to jump over to the store and grab the new Breckenridge Bronco 2.0 bottles.
You do need to go
check
get those
out.
You do need to go get those.
Those are new. They're different flavors, so got to check it out and see if they're better than the first year. Last year's batch was good. I like the orange better. I thought the orange just had a little bit more sweeter flavor to it, and I am more of a sweet is normally better to me. I'm not a big fan of the kind of smoky or kind of sharp flavor.
Fair. Well, you better get them because you don't want them to run out.
The one by the mall's got them pretty regular. I don't think they'll run out.
You think
they have them hidden in there? They're hidden in the area that you have to you got to move the chain because that's where all the expensive whiskey is. That's where they have it. So you actually have to go you have to know where it is or ask them for it. It's not just readily out on display.
Interesting. All right. Well, good luck getting yourself some of that stuff.
It's a $40 bottle and a bunch of whiskeys that are like $150 a bottle. I don't get it, but it is what it is.
I think the next one I'm going to try to get that's not your run of the mill, medium price tag area. I'm going to try to go finally find some Buffalo Trace. That stuff is not easy to find.
Sam's Club or Costco has it.
Nope.
Pretty sure.
Nope. Oh yeah.
Because somebody just bought a bottle of it.
Well, if they did, they were there when they were putting them on the shelves because they do not last long.
Because Jared brought some to our draft.
Yeah, stuff I've heard is pretty tasty, but every time I go somewhere, they say they're sold out. So not easy to get your hands on.
Yeah, especially Buffalo Trace is a really good whiskey for the price point as well. I'm not sure if I'm Buffalo Trace averse because that's one of the whiskeys that I got hammered on my birthday, my 40th birthday. 291 in Buffalo Trace is what we were shooting. Buffalo Trace, I think, is what did me in because the 291 went pretty quick. There was, that bottle, a couple shots and it's gone. So
Yeah.
then we just
Both
started drinking
good.
Trace.
Both delicious.
Man, so good. Cheers to whiskey.
Cheers to whiskey, sir. Anything else on the docket?
Don't forget, get your bottle of Screwball. Shot for every time the Broncos score a touchdown. Just saying.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Oh, come on, Caleb.
Not unless I have Monday off, or if they play Monday, if I have Tuesday off. I think they're going to score too much this year. I can't handle that.
I think they're putting up 5 on Monday night. So
if it was last year, I'd be like, yeah, fine, I'll have a shot or two, no problem. Not this year, son. No way. That sounds like
last year I had to get desperate, man. I had to do it when they did field goals.
Yeah, no, I'm not. They're gonna blow out Seattle. I don't know how people think this is gonna be a somewhat close game. It's gonna be nasty.
Geno Smith, baby.
That defense is terrible. I don't care what the offense does. That defense is terrible. Just atrocious.
Yeah, I don't see anything on that defense that's gonna help out at all. But
no, not even a little bit.
So, well, why don't you lead us off into our predictions, my man?
Well, why don't we go ahead and start on the NFC side of the ball? Because, I know how much you enjoy ending with the Broncos for anything football related. So we'll end over there.
As we've talked about, and everybody else has talked about, the AFC West is the best. So we'll leave the best for the end.
Think the North will give them a run for their money. I do, but we'll go through that right now. But let's start on the NFC side of the ball. So, NFC East, we have the Washington Commanders finishing in last place, 4-13.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
We got the New York Giants at 5-12.
Competitive 5-12, if I remember right.
We believe they'll be much more competitive this year. Now, again, remember, we're judging this based on everybody healthy playing the whole season. That's how we're rolling. That's how we decided to do this. We're not judging, here's some injuries, this possible, that possible. Nah, everybody's healthy. Line the two up like Pinky said. Play. So yeah, DC 4-13. New York Giants 5-12. Dallas. This is probably going to rub some people the wrong way, but it is what it is. Dallas, we got 10-7. And Philly, we've got Philly winning the division at 13-4. We are high on Philly. We think they're going to be real good this year. Real good. Now keep in mind, anybody that's going to go back and look at this, that wants to discuss this with us, we had the schedule for every team sitting right in front of us, and we literally looked. Do they win this game? Do they win this game? Do they win this game? And we went all the way through the entire season, team by team, game by game. And you mark a win for somebody, that's automatically a loss for somebody else. And we puzzle pieced it together, and this is where we ended up with. So that's the NFC East. NFC North, we have Chicago at the bottom, 2-15. I think they're going to be fairly competitive. Pinky thinks they're going to be just bad.
Dog shit.
But I do think they're going to surprise some people. I could definitely see them going above the 2-15. Not a lot, but I could see them going above the 2-15. But they're not going to be a good team this year. I think the only thing that keeps them in anything is the offense. I think Pinky is drastically underrating the offense personally.
I don't know if I am. They can win 5 games. I think they could win 5 games. But when we lined them up against their competition, 2 was the best we could give them.
2-15.
And I think one of them was against Detroit.
Yeah. So Detroit's next on the list. They're at 4-13. And that was tough for us because we really like the direction Detroit's headed. We really like the coach. We like what they've done on the offensive side of the ball. We like what they've started to do on the defensive side of the ball. So we think they're going to be really competitive. They're just not quite able to get over that ledge yet.
I think they play hard for their coach, and he demands that from them. I do think they'll be better on offense. I actually think Goff getting some protection is going to play pretty good. So I that's where I see them again being a good team that still doesn't have the talent to beat anybody. But that's
we
like
kind of
last
feel like
season.
next year is when they'll make their jump. This year is still a little bit more learning, a little bit more growing, a little bit more pieces that still need to be filled in. Next year they make the jump pretty much.
They hung tough with the Broncos. I think they had their backup QB playing against the Broncos because Goff.
What is that? Why are you even? Who they should have beat the Broncos last year? Like, don't even. That's not even. Broncos were trash last year.
Hold on, I'm just saying they were competitive with the Broncos till about halftime, and then the wheels came off. And the Broncos.
That's not even. I don't even know why you're bringing that up. Like,
I'm just saying they play hard against every team they play with, and then occasionally just the lack of talent will show up, and they'll lose.
Okay. Next up, we have Minnesota. We got Minnie going 11-6. Right on the cusp there, fighting for the division.
I'm high on the Vikings.
They should be real good this year. And then we got Green Bay finishing at 14-3, winning the division.
That was tough for me.
You were not as high on them as I am. I think their defense got better and their offense did not get worse. I don't think Devontae Adams is that big of a loss personally. Real good wide receiver, but when you have the two-time defending MVP who's about to go for 3, and you got those 2 running backs that they have, Devontae Adams isn't that big of a loss. And you'll see we basically said the same thing about KC. We'll get there, but Tyreek, Devontae, they are not one-man shows that raise all tides. It's the quarterbacks they play with that made them what they are. Devontae, I think, is better than Tyreek. So I'm not saying it's not going to be a loss. I just don't think it's enough to make them not really good.
I don't think they're going to win football games like they did last year, but they're going to win more by running the ball and playing defense than they are
absolutely
throwing 3 to 4 touchdowns a week.
And there's a good chance they have one of the best defenses in the league this year. We all pretty much agree on that. That defense is going to be nasty. So Green Bay wins the North. NFC South. I'll give people a wild guess who we have at the bottom, and you're going to be wrong because it's not Atlanta. First shocker of our list here, we have New Orleans going 2-15.
We're probably wrong here.
Probably wrong, but again,
did we give them week 1 against Atlanta? Because I'm pretty sure they're going to beat Atlanta.
Yeah, we gave them week 1 against Atlanta.
So they only win one more game after.
Yeah, they go on a pretty rough season, but they've got a nasty schedule. They do. And we think Atlanta steals one from them late in the season. There's just a lot of things that unfortunately are not going to go in New Orleans' favor. And it was hard for us because they've got a great defense. We don't think their offense is going to be that bad. We just feel like things are not going to go their way. And so we've got them going 2-15. Next, we have Atlanta. Atlanta goes 3-14. They find a way to get one more win than New Orleans. Guys, schedules, baby. When you look at the schedules, things they kind of fall weird for you. Atlanta sneaks out 3. Carolina finishes 8-9. We think they're going to be competitive, not playoffs, but competitive. Then we've got Tampa winning the division 15-2. Pinky is higher on Tampa than I am, but we both agree they'll win that division. And they're going to have a good season.
They've got a couple tough ones on their schedule, but I think overall they should win a majority of their games.
That's where we're at.
Mike Evans, Chris Godwin back without a brace. They still have their tackles. It's going to be the interior play. You can pull in backups and at least get decent play in the interior, unless you're playing against Sue or Aaron Donald and stuff like that. Which I think they better hope so.
They better hope so.
But so I think there's things that they can do to mask those deficiencies. And their defense is still just as good with now Todd Bowles being the head coach. So I don't know. I don't know if I'd put them to win the Super Bowl, but I feel pretty good they're going to have a good season.
So there you go. There you go, Tampa. And then finally out west, we've got Seattle being just amazingly bad and undefeated at 0-17.
And again, I would love this to happen on so many reasons. I know they'll win a couple games.
So many levels. I hope they don't.
There's so many Seahawks fans that are so bitter towards Russell Wilson. And I'm like, guys, if Pete Carroll had changed his scheme or John Schneider had drafted better, he'd still be there. In fact, I'm confident if Bruce Allen had not died, Russell Wilson would still be a Seahawk.
Absolutely, he would.
Because Bruce Allen would have said, no, what you guys have done is not acceptable. I'm firing both of you. I'm keeping Russell.
Exactly.
And we're bringing in new GM, new coach.
That's definitely what would have happened. And again, Seattle doesn't have an easy schedule. We might have started going through it and feeling a little happy that they were just going to be awful just because me personally, I know Pinky is very much against them because now we got Russ and they treated Russ poorly. I took all that out of the equation. I just think they're a very poorly run organization right now. I think they're a bad team. I think they have some really great skill positions on offense and nothing on defense. And I don't want to hear anything about Jamal Adams because he hadn't done shit since he showed up to that team.
Diggs is better than Adams.
Well, two different positions.
I mean, they both play safeties. They're both safeties. Quandre Diggs and Jamal Adams are their
safeties.
Quandre
Diggs. I thought you were talking about Dallas's.
No. Quandre Diggs is a better safety than Jamal Adams because he can cover.
Jamal Adams is bad. Way overpaid for that guy. So, yeah, Seattle, 0-17. Good luck, boys. Next up, we got Arizona falling off a little bit. We got Arizona going 7-10. They're going to have a down year, and I think it's going to cause some changes in the offseason. Again, looking at their schedule, it's not favorable. It's not favorable for Arizona.
What changes are going to make? They just gave their GM and their coach an extension.
I'm not saying necessarily front office. I could see Hopkins going at the end of the year, maybe on a trade. There could be some more moving parts. Their defense lost some key players. That's part of the reason why we feel that they're going to take a step back. Hopkins gone for the first 6 games of the season. There's some things that add up into why they fall off a little bit. So they're at 7-10. Then you've got a 2-way race for first place, and it's going to be interesting to see how it's decided. We didn't give playoff seed rankings. We'll do that next week when we run through the Super Bowl. We're just giving you records and who makes the playoffs this year or this episode. But we've got San Fran and LA both finishing 12-5. So they will tie record-wise for the division, and it'll come down to the tiebreaker. So that's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, overall, top to bottom, San Francisco's got a better roster than the Rams. The Rams just have possibly better players at certain positions than the 49ers do.
I mean, when you have arguably the two best defensive players on your defensive side of the ball in Ramsey and Donald, and then you've got the Triple Crown wide receiver in Kupp, you got a very viable quarterback in Matt Stafford. They've got pieces that are dangerous, and that's what propels them through the season. Now they're thin. They are super thin, and we've talked about it time and time again, and that's what made it a little bit hard for us to go 12-5 and why we made sure we stuck to everyone healthy game by game all the way through the season. But, if the Rams suffer some injuries, they could be in for a real rough season. They have to stay healthy. They're going to have to.
Yeah, I mean, they got lucky for the most part last season. They were healthy. They also they've gotten a lot of good play from Leonard Floyd as well on the defense, which a lot of folks didn't realize. Last year, I mean, when you had Leonard Floyd on one side, you had Von Miller on the other, and then you had Aaron Donald in the middle. Like Aaron Donald gets his push, you're moving left or right into pass rush. It was nasty. They don't have that this year.
For people who say they lost Von Miller, what are you guys thinking? They added Bobby Wagner, and that's a premier linebacker in the NFL.
He should help a lot in their run defense, which has not been great by any means.
And he can pass coverage in the middle of the field. I mean, he can provide a lot. So that offset the loss of the pass rush for us and allowed them to stay at that elite level.
I like them bringing in Allen Robinson on offense a lot.
We also love that move. We really love that move, teaming him up with a viable quarterback in Stafford. So that's going to be fun to watch. San Francisco, I mean, look, when you look at it, I said time and time again, Jimmy Garoppolo was not going anywhere. He was on the roster, so we treated it like he was on the roster when we ran through these as the backup quarterback. So if anything happens to Trey Lance, Jimmy comes right in and they keep rolling. So that isn't an issue. They've got skill positions. Ayuk, by a lot of accounts, is going to break out this year and have a big year.
He figured out how to play football the second half of last season.
Deebo Samuel, obviously. Kittle. Now, here we go. People are going to be like, well, Kittle doesn't play a whole season. Again, everybody plays whole season healthy. What happens? They're dangerous. They're very dangerous. They got multiple running backs that can run through. Elijah Mitchell really showed he can be an RB1 last year. And then on the defensive side of the ball, they got Bosa and everybody else still. So they're fine.
Again, they're a dangerous team because they're physical.
Yes.
You think of the West Coast system and you think finesse. They are a lineup and we will run the football down your throat.
Yep, absolutely.
And they play good defense. So that anytime you play good defense and again, they have a very young quarterback. A lot is going to rest on his arm and his decision making. I just, when we went through it, I was just like, yeah, they're good enough to overcome some of his possible poor play at times.
Whatever learning curve he's going to have this year, whatever highs and lows, they're going to be able to ride that wave out for sure. So NFC West, San Fran and LA. Over to the AFC now.
So what does that put us playoff wise for those?
Oh, we'll go through those. We'll go through those once we get. Okay. Oh, you want to do it now? We'll do it now. Well, that's fine.
We talked NFC. Yeah. Let's just finish it up.
So out of the East, you're going to have Philly and Dallas both making it. Out of the North, you'll have Green Bay and Minnesota both making it.
That's
out
4.
Of the South, you're only getting Tampa.
And Tampa 5.
And then out of the West, you're getting San Fran and LA.
I like that. I like that grouping a lot. Yeah. That should be some good football.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wildcard weekend's going to be fire with that. You know what I mean?
So good.
So, like I said, we'll go through that next week, and we'll get detailed for you where we think, based on our rankings, who's going to be seated where, who's going to play who, where they're going to play. We'll run that down next week, I should say, because that'll be a fun little conversation for week one. And, after we've talked about the week one games, kind of give you what we feel the season-long projection will look like. Now, over to the AFC East. I think this is another place where some people are going to be a little bit surprised. But we'll start off with New York, the Jets. We all think they're going to be competitive this year. But competitive doesn't equal wins. So we've got them finishing at 2-15. We kind of feel like they're in the Lions boat where they're a year or two away from being good, playoff caliber possibly. But they just have some pieces that have to work. They got some young talent that still has to learn how to win, things of that nature.
We don't know what we're getting out of Zach Wilson. We don't know what we're going to get out of Joe Flacco if he plays. We just don't know.
But we like the skill. We like Elijah Moore. We like Breece Hall. We like those pickups. They're building their offensive line well. We like Sauce Gardner on the defensive side of the ball and that draft pick. They're doing some right things.
Sauce Gardner and Jermaine Johnson.
Yep. So they're doing the right things. They're moving in the right direction, but they're still a year or two away from putting it all together. So Jets fans, sorry. You got another year of unfortunate losing ahead of you, but you should have a competitive team. We believe they'll be competitive. You'll see some good games out of them, but still 2-15. Next up, out of the East, we've got your New England Patriots finishing at a whopping 4-13. They're just not good. They're just not good. The defense doesn't really have anybody. The offense has nothing at the skill positions other than the running back. You could maybe argue tight end, but that's it. I think Mac Jones takes a huge step back without McDaniels being there. Pinky fully agrees with that sentiment. And you look at their schedule, and it's not favorable. They're going to get smoked this year.
If all reports, and this, I don't even think we took this into account. If all reports out of Patriots training camp are true, they are in a world of hurt because they looked awful. So Tom Curran is like the big beat writer.
The Patriots insider,
and he was on Rich Eisen multiple times, and he was like, I have no idea what I'm watching out there. He's like, Mac Jones looks lost. They don't there's no cohesion. The offensive line couldn't block me at this point. Like, they're bad. And again, I think this could be just at some point, just that hubris from Bill Belichick that I can make anything work.
And let's be honest, the only reason we gave him 4 is because of Bill Belichick. If he wasn't there, they might not even get the 4.
So, I mean, honestly, they'll probably win 7 because of Bill.
Pinky, we wrote down 4.
I know. I know.
4.
But
that's what I wrote down 4. Here's the schedule, ladies and gentlemen. Look, game by game, every team. We went through New England down here, over here, New England. Okay,
but there's like those right 3.
New England.
There's going to be like 3 weird games that they're going to have.
They're going to get
where the defense scores and blocks a punt or they.
No, the weirdness, Pinky, this year is that they're going to only get 4 wins. It's not that they're going to manage to get into the playoffs, which shouldn't have happened last year. They're not going to be able to run 80 times and only throw twice and get a victory. The weirdness is they're only going to get 4. We said it. Own up. Don't be going back and saying, well, they'll probably get 4. Patriots, 4.
And nobody loves that more than me. I know a couple Patriots fans, good guys, but the majority of Patriots fans I've ever met have no idea of the Patriots before 2000.
Not a clue.
They have no idea. You talk Drew Bledsoe, I don't know. You talk they held the previous record for the most rushing yards in the season. They had one of the best guards ever, John Hanna. I love that guy. Watch tape on him. He's fantastic. They don't even know who that guy is.
Not a clue.
He's arguably the best guard of all time. No idea. And so I'm like, for those Patriots fans that all they've known is winning, it makes me feel so joyful.
Oh, they're about to come back down to earth
them
for
just
a very long
come down to earth
time.
And realize, wait, we don't have an elite quarterback, so then all of Bill Belichick's coaching means nothing? Yeah. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Patriots,
Mac, I think Mac might have hit his ceiling last season, really.
Oh, he did. Yeah, that was Mac's ceiling, and it's not going to get any better. So hang on. Next up, we've got the Miami Dolphins resurging a little bit here. 10-7. We got them 10-7.
Excited for Tua, and that almost makes me throw up in my mouth when I say that. Yeah, because
it took a lot for me to get you to even not disrespect Tua.
I just can't see how that guy's not going to win some games this year. I just can't.
Got a lot of weapons. Weapons.
He's got all the weapons. The only thing that's not completely consistent is their running backs. They've got 3 of them. They could throw anybody in at any time.
Again, Edmonds is going to be the guy. Don't worry about it. Just trust Caleb.
He's one of your guys. He's probably getting hurt week 3.
Look, if the curse hits him, so be it. But my curse also has shown that I picked super talent. I'm very good at picking talent. The curse just hits unfortunate in really bad ways. The curse is not such that they are awful or they don't have a good season. The curse is such that something awful or bad happens to them.
It will be interesting if Miami's defense can play as well as they've played the last 2 or 3 years, because their defense really kind of held things together while the offense has been catching up.
Absolutely. 10-7. They're going to be right there in the playoff hunt. They're going to be fighting for one of those last positions, so it's going to be fun to watch Miami this year. And then finally, we've got everybody's darling. We're fully on board. I don't know how you can't be. I heard Nick Wright today try to blaspheme his way into saying that Buffalo has no right being number one. He doesn't understand why Vegas likes them so much. Nick, did you watch the playoff game with Kansas City last year? Like, they didn't lose because of talent. They lost because of some poor coaching decisions at the end of the game. Buffalo, 15-2. We got 15-2 Buffalo fans.
Let's be honest.
Bills Mafia, let's roll.
Nick Wright talks out of his ass all the time. He's the second version of Skip Bayless.
He's also a huge KC homer.
Oh, he's gigantic KC homer. And I'm just like, wait, if KC's so awesome, how'd they give up a 21-3 lead to the Cincinnati Bengals?
Oh, there's so many. Yeah,
and they did that.
We'll get there too.
They did that twice last year that the Bengals came back on them and won the game. So how great are the Chiefs that they let that happen, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
Buffalo from top to bottom has absolutely the best roster in the NFL on both sides of the ball. You go by position group, and you match it up with any other team. They have probably the best roster in the NFL. And you could see in games last year, maybe they got bored, sluggish, and they found ways to lose in certain games. But I think that playoff loss is going to just ignite this team to that next level.
The defense should be as good or better. The offense should be as good or better. Really, the offense is going to be better. It's just
they
another
played
year
that.
for that
They
offense.
played that Kansas City game without Tre'Davious White, their best corner. He blew his ACL.
Yep.
Like I want to say, like 3 or 4 weeks before that game.
So Buffalo, let's roll, Bills Mafia. Let's roll. AFC North, second best division in the NFL, most likely. Most likely, we're pretty high on the North.
We are high on the North.
At the bottom, and this is only because of an 11-game suspension. The Cleveland Browns are going to finish the season 7-10, and that's how much we believe in that roster. There's skill all over that.
I think if Watson played the whole season, they're probably 10-7. What did we have them? Do you have that number?
11-6 with Watson. 11-6 with Watson.
Because he's been
without Watson, we have him 7-10.
I think it might take him a little bit of time to get back into his groove.
Well, and that's what I was saying to start. We were a little gracious. We're giving him a little bit of hope when he comes back that they can steal a couple still. It could honestly be a couple games less than that. I mean, they could very easily go 5-12, just because he's going to be rusty. So that's going to be interesting to see how that ends up. But we're giving him a little bit of credit for his talent, where he's been at. So we're going to put them at 7-10. Next up, we got a tie for second, third place, if you will. And we've got Cincy and Pitt both finishing at 11-6. Cincy improved the offensive line. They're going to be good. There's no doubt about it. Pitt, Pinky's not quite there, but he's close.
I'm not there.
Trubisky's going to ball. Trubisky's going to ball. And they've got a ton of skill position talent. Their offensive line is weak. We all know that, but they've got a ton of offensive skill position, and their defense is damn good.
I'm probably 9-8 on Pittsburgh. But we went through it, and looking at their schedule, I think they'll blow a couple games they shouldn't. But looking at their schedule, we came up with 11-6, I think you said?
11-6. 11-6.
Which if they switch to Pickett mid-season, that won't happen.
I don't think that's going to make a difference personally, but I don't see that happening anyways. Now, here's the kicker. Watson plays the full season. We actually had Pittsburgh at 10-7. But because Watson's not playing the full season, they play Pittsburgh early, so they're going to lose to Pittsburgh. That gives Pittsburgh an extra win. So that Watson suspension does have rippling effects all over this schedule. Like I said, Cincy, 11-6. We got no problem with that. They're good. We don't think they're quite great. They had a little bit of a miracle run through the playoffs last year. I don't think they should have beat Tennessee. I think
they almost lost to Raiders.
Tannehill's receivers did them dirty in that game. The Raiders had it and blew it. So Cincy 11-6, you should be stoked about that because that's going to get you where you want to be. You're going to be in the dance, so that gets you what you want.
I mean, as they showed last year, You make it to the playoffs, anything can happen.
Anything can happen. Now, who does that leave to win that division, Pinky?
That's the Baltimore Ravens, baby.
Baltimore Ravens. And like we said, everybody healthy, game by game. This is what we got. What happened to Baltimore last year, Pinky?
They got hurt. They got just like destroyed by the injury bug on both sides of the ball.
Destroyed. Did they get better? I think they did. I think you can argue that they're better this year than they were last year.
Getting healthy is better.
I mean, hey, so we got Baltimore finishing 12-5, winning that AFC North in a slugfest. I mean, that division's going to be mean.
And I think the one thing maybe we didn't even know. I don't even think we took this into account. Lamar has until. Actually, I don't even think Lamar is going to work on his contract at all. I think he's balling this year.
Oh, he's going the Kirk Cousins route. You like that? You like that? Now pay me, because that's what Lamar's about to do. And he's also, I do believe, and I've heard Dan Orlovsky say this as well. Lamar's about to go scorched earth on the NFL. He wants to make up for last year and then some. He wants to prove to people he is an MVP. He wants to get that money in the bank. Dude's gonna ball out this year.
I have shares of Dobbins and Andrews and Bateman and Lamar in different. I mean, I've got so many leagues, so I've got them in different leagues. I would love that.
That run game's going to be nasty. We all know how I feel about Dobbins. I think he's going to roll.
Dude,
It'll take him a little bit to get going, but he's going to roll.
You know who got lost last year on defense?
Yeah.
Because of Micah Parsons, nobody realizes how good a season Jason Owe had.
Absolutely.
He was awesome last season, but Micah Parsons, like, I think he had like 2.5 more sacks, but he had more like forced fumbles and he had more like impact plays than Owe did.
That's exactly right. We haven't even got there. Baltimore's defense could be top 5 in the NFL. I mean, they are good on defense.
When they're healthy,
playing complimentary football all season, 12-5 Baltimore is right where they need to be. Heading over to the NFC South. AFC South. I apologize. We already gave you.
We knew what you meant.
AFC South. Kind of an ugly division, but at the same time, kind of competitive and a lot of interesting things that you could be watching throughout the season with this division. Start off Houston. I like what they're doing there. I think they're moving in the right direction. I think they have some good pieces. Pinky's pretty much on that boat. The defense is going to be not great, but
that defense is going to be bad, bro.
It's going to be bad. But they did a couple draft picks that could play out long-term well. Offensively, I love Davis Mills. I talked him up. I was ahead of the game there. Everybody can vouch for that. I think he's going to prove that he's a franchise QB this year. I think Nico Collins moves into a wide receiver 1A with Brandon Cooks. And then Dameon Pierce, look, I don't think he's going to be long-term solution, but he has played very well in the preseason. Pinky's real high on Dameon Pierce, rightfully so after this preseason. So they got some things that they can work with. But all that being said, 1-16.
Which, again, if they're 1-16, then the Davis Mills is no longer the quarterback.
Yeah, he will be. Because you can use that pick.
There's no way they don't draft like Bryce Young or CJ Stroud.
Davis Mills is that talented, so there's no reason to bail ship on him. You can move back, you can acquire more picks, you can fill in roster spots. Davis Mills, I think he's going to prove he's a franchise QB this year. I truly do. We'll find out. It's not good that I'm saying that because he's already got a terrible injury history.
Bro, but what's going to suck, though, is that the head coach is going to get fired anyways. The new coach is going to come in, and the new coach is going to want his guy.
Which will be Davis Mills. I do believe that. I think the new coach will take the job because of Davis Mills. Dude,
I don't think so.
Going back, and I've talked about it, he was the top-rated recruit coming out of high school in a very, very highly touted recruiting class. So the dude's loaded talent-wise. He's just had a lot of injury history that caused him to not be a top draft pick. With that being said, though, Lovie Smith isn't the guy long-term. Everybody knows that. They go get an offensive-minded coach, load up on some defensive picks, and they could be in a great situation in a couple years. But nobody wants to see Houston do well after they allowed Deshaun Watson and assisted Deshaun Watson in being
It's
what
fine,
Deshaun
bro.
Watson
They're
was.
going to have the number 1 pick, and then they're going to get like the number 5 pick from the Browns. They're on their way up.
They got a lot of nice picks coming up. That's going to be good for them. So, Houston, you don't have a problem, okay? There's not a problem. You're right where everybody expects you to be with a chance to move in the right direction. Next up, we've got Jacksonville. The Urban Meyer effect alone boosts them a couple wins, minimum. But we've got them finishing 7-10. 7-10 for Jacksonville. We think they're going to be a competitive team. I've said it before. I'll say it again. This is one of those teams where I could see surprising people and being one of those surprise NFL playoff teams. It happens every year. Pinky shakes his head, but he also knows every year it happens. Somebody jumps up that you weren't expecting.
I don't think we're going to get that from this team. I just don't.
Right, but when I pose the question to Pinky, then who could be that surprise team this year? He refuses to give an answer. So keep that in mind.
I don't think we have that surprise team in the AFC. I think all the positions are locked for the playoffs already.
It happens in both conferences every year, Pinky. It's like, what, 4 teams from the previous year don't make the playoffs the next year? That's like a guaranteed NFL thing. So I see Jacksonville as possibly being one of those teams. I'm not saying they're going to be, just saying, keep an eye on them. Keep an eye on Jacksonville. They're going to be competitive.
Competitive. They will not be a playoff team.
Next up, Tennessee comes down to earth a little bit. They are going to be 9-8. Now, again, they're playing a first-place schedule. So that's part of the reason why we have them coming back down a little bit is because their schedule is going to be really tough. Their defense is not great. And they didn't do anything on offense that makes you go, oh yeah, we can see them, being able to offensive firepower with some teams. Derrick Henry, I think, is going to go 2,000 yards. But, that doesn't necessarily equate to wins, unfortunately, in today's NFL. So Tennessee, 9-8. Malik Willis, I could easily see starting at some point this season. But I for sure think he's playing next year. Finally, we have what we thought was going to be a Super Bowl caliber team last year, winning the division this year. Indy is going to be dangerous this year with Matt Ryan. Indy wins this division at 11-6.
Could be even better, but yeah, they're going to be really good. The Colts are going to be a really good football team.
Defense is arguably top 5. Matt Ryan being able to be a little bit more consistent for them at the quarterback position. Jonathan Taylor's still there. Again, talking healthy, their wide receiver position all stays healthy. They have some weapons there. Naheem Hines also, third down, passing down, running out of the slot. They've got a lot of good things. And their defense is just, it's loaded. So going to be really fun to watch Indy this year. That leaves us with the final division, Pinky. And what everybody that I've heard or talked to or read or followed has as the best division in football and arguably, possibly, the best division in NFL history, the AFC West.
Oh, buddy, so good. So good.
The AFC West does not have a team below 500. The AFC West does not have a team at 500 because you can no longer be 500 in the NFL. And boy, is it going to be competitive.
I truly believe you could take any team out of the AFC West, put them in the AFC South, and they could win the division. All 4 teams.
Agreed. And we've talked about this. But they all have, I won't say all. They don't all. But KC and Vegas have some tough schedules. The Chargers schedule isn't easy, but it's not hard. But, they're top to bottom on paper. They're the most talented roster in the NFL. And that's
they're right below the Bills, top to bottom. Their defensive players are not.
I'd say they're above the Bills.
I would not.
I would. What are you
I would
talking
put
about?
their offensive
Bosa,
skill players
Mack,
above the
Derwin
Bills.
James.
I think the Bills, Micah Hyde and
J.C.
Jordan
Jackson.
Poyer. J.C. Jackson's a bum, dude. He came from New England. I'm not even big on that.
What?
I'm not big on that. He's going to be another guy that comes over from New England in a different scheme that doesn't play as well as he did in New England.
No, I don't agree with that at all. I don't agree with that at all. But Pinky is really hard time giving LA any type of credit.
You name me anybody outside of Chandler Jones that left New England and still played at a high level on defense.
I mean, there's been a handful of dudes.
Like who? Name them.
I'm not going to go back through history right now. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that right now. Pinky hates giving LA any credit whatsoever.
No,
Pinky still thinks Justin Herbert needs to show him something.
I give them credit. They did pick up J.C. Jackson. They picked up Sebastian Day, something else. He's got like three. He's got two last names. He's a hyphenated name. And then they picked up Khalil Mack. Awesome. Khalil Mack hasn't been healthy for a full season in 2 years. Joey Bosa's never healthy for a full season. Derwin James hasn't been healthy for a full season. And they picked up a guy from the Patriots who the Patriots were willing to let walk away with, like, not even trying.
Because Bill Belichick didn't want to pay him.
I know, but
like I said, Pinky can't give him any credit because he just did what we said we weren't doing, and he just talked about all the injury history.
I still gave them lots of wins. I still gave them lots of wins.
We did give them lots of wins. So to the AFC West, it's a bottom and a top, and it's all right there.
It's like this.
Yeah, we've got Vegas and KC finishing at 10-7. Now, I know what's coming. Everybody's going to call us homers. Keep in mind, we went through the schedule game by game. The Broncos, by all accounts, from all the experts, all the pundits, were a quarterback away. Good roster, but a quarterback away. They also play a division worst record.
Last place
They get a last place schedule. So they get an easier schedule than everybody else. That's part of what's coming. Denver, LA. 13-4. And look, that was us doing everything we could to take off our rose-colored glasses, look at it as unbiased as possible. When you look at that schedule, there are a couple games that we gave them the edge when maybe we shouldn't have. And if you want to do that, fine. You want to drop them to 11-6, somewhere in that ballpark. We're not going to be mad about that.
I think we gave the Rams the Christmas game, and I think the Broncos can actually match up really well with the Rams.
We actually didn't, if I remember correctly. Let me double check here. No, we have the Broncos winning that game.
Oh, did we? I think the Broncos will win that game. In my heart of hearts, I think we can run the football on them and play action pass.
And, for anybody asking, we basically got them splitting the division games. And their other loss is going to come to Baltimore, at Baltimore.
Which I can see them winning that game too.
But, we think they can go into LA on Christmas Day, and we think they can win. There's a lot of factors that we talked about. We think Denver has a slightly better overall defense. We don't think the Rams are going to be able to run the ball that well all season, not just against the Broncos. All season, we don't think the Rams are going to be a great running team. And the Broncos have a good secondary. So you put all these factors together, and that's why, we give them the win there. We think they eke it out. We're not saying blowouts by any means. Split the divisions, home away, however you want to look at it. They split the division games. Broncos 13-4.
I think
Chargers 13-4. We gave the Chargers 13-4 simply because they're just good. We think fully healthy, everybody stays on the field. They're going to be nasty, bad mofos.
As long as they don't find a way to charger it up.
That's Pinky's favorite saying, charger it up. Charger it up.
That's what they've done for 5 years, man.
They've done it a lot longer than 5. They've done it since Dan Fouts days.
I was trying to be nice. But
I've said it before. If they hadn't been the Chargers and chargered it up, Dan Fouts would be known as one of the best quarterbacks in NFL history.
Since Peyton Manning retired, the only season they were not dark horse Super Bowl candidates was the rookie year of Justin Herbert. That was the only year that they weren't dark horse Super Bowl candidates. The last 3 years Phillip Rivers was there, and last year with Herbert they were. And I was like, I don't
And
see
they've
it
had
yet,
some
guys.
unfortunate. I mean, that Phillip Rivers LT teams, he tore his MCL and PCL or something like that, and still played the game and played halfway decent, but hobbling around and stuff. They've had some
Well,
really bad luck.
LT missed playoff games.
Yeah, I mean, they've had some really bad luck that I think you would equate more towards the owner and what he brings to the table and the way he runs the organization than you would the players on the field. But man, they do charger it up. They do.
They need, with LA winning last year and LA gaining more momentum in LA, they need a win. They need to showcase Herbert. They need a winning season, and they really need the Chargers to get deep in the playoffs with Herbert to get more fans into the stadium when they're playing.
Agreed. I mean, they rent a space from LA. So already not good from Spano. Sean, we'll just pause here for a moment. Sean made a comment here. Broncos haven't made the playoffs since 2015. I wouldn't get my hopes up yet, Caleb Sersel. Sean, I'm not getting my hopes up. Again, unbiased look at the schedule. Will it happen? Yeah, I do hope so.
I mean,
if it doesn't, then it doesn't. But when you go through the schedule and you look at, again, they're playing a last place schedule. They have an easier schedule than most of the teams that are looking at playoff spots. So it's not a homer decision that we had them at 13-4. It is looking at the schedule, looking at the talent on that roster. Their defense was really good last year in really bad situations.
I mean, if you look at it,
they added some pass rush. Their secondary is only going to get better. There are things that cause us to do this. They're going to have a great run game. And again, looking at everybody healthy, Sutton, Judy, Hamler, they've got weapons for Russell Wilson to throw the ball to. There are reasons we made these decisions. Now, I know people are going to say we're homers. I get it. I understand it. I hear you. Look, Sean is a huge Cowboys fan. Sean, I apologize. I know your pain. I'm a Nebraska fan. I get where you're coming from. I understand it. Believe me. But Dallas plays a harder schedule. That's why Dallas is going to finish 10-7. They still make the playoffs, okay? The Broncos play a really favorable schedule, and that's what it came down to for us. So with that being said, Chargers, Broncos 13-4. Our AFC playoff teams, Denver, LA, Pitt, Pitt, Cincy, Baltimore, Buffalo, and Indy. That means KC misses, Vegas misses, Miami misses. It's tough sledding, baby. Tough sledding in that AFC. And they all finish 10-7 and don't make the playoffs.
That's how good it is.
It's tough. It's tough, man. Now, will we be right? God, I hope we hit on every single one of these. I do. But, it's the NFL. Ball does not bounce the way you expect it to. But again, game by game, team by team, that's the way we decided to go through this. And as you look at it that way, it just kind of plays itself out that way. I mean, look, we started with New Orleans at 2-15. When we first started looking at New Orleans, we didn't think they were going to be 2-15. We were thinking the 8-9 range, 9-8, somewhere around that 500 number, if you will. It didn't work out. We just didn't work out. Seattle 0-17.
And
will it happen? Who knows? But you look at every game and you think about what that team really is. They're not winning anything based on that schedule. They're not. Maybe close games, but they're not winning them.
We got to respond to Sean here. He said, our division is tough, hard to win the conference against tough teams. So we didn't say we're going to win the conference. We just said we would be right there for the division.
We'll go over conference winners next week.
For the conference, clarify. Again, my thing would be LA and Denver, Baltimore, Cincy. Those teams are going to be battle-tested. Because every week they are playing tough games in their division that they will be battle-tested come playoff time.
Well, Sean, again, 13 wins should win the conference. In most years, you're absolutely right. But, Buffalo's 15-2. LA's going 13-4. We will go through next week, like I said, and we'll give you playoff seeds, because some of these are going to come down to tiebreakers. Denver might not even be the division winner based on tiebreaker. That's something that we'll reveal next week. And
I don't know if we have all the math to do that, but
I've got it. Don't worry. I've already taken care of everything. We're good to go. Now, unless it gets a little too crazy, I gotta review a couple things still just to verify some things. But for the most part, we're good. And we'll go through it. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. It is. But again, game by game for each team looking at the schedule. And one of the things that is in Denver's favor is that they get to play a last place schedule.
They play the Jets, the Seahawks, the Jaguars, the Titans, who we don't think will be as good. They get to play they don't play the Browns this year. They do play the Seahawks and the Cardinals, who we think the Cardinals will be down as well. Like, they just don't play as tough a schedule as they may have in the past.
And they have the offensive weapons to score the ball, and they have a defense that adding a Randy Gregory with, again, everybody healthy, Chubb on the other side, and then that back half that they have with the secondary, it gives them, if you put it on paper and look at it, the right tools you need to win these games when we start looking at them.
They also have one of the best fourth quarter comeback quarterbacks in history in Russell Wilson.
So there's a lot. Look, we didn't just go, this team, we think they're going to be this team. No, again, we went game by game by game for each team and looked at, if you line these two teams up, what happens. It took us, man, a good 3 hours of going through it and discussing, and we had some other buddies sitting there with us that we used as tiebreakers if Pinky and I were disagreeing or we couldn't come to terms after going back and forth and debating it and saying our thought process and things of that nature. If we were stuck, we had a couple other buddies there that would tie break it for us. So this isn't necessarily just us. This is definitely us. But where there were questions or things that we couldn't come to terms on, we had other people there to kind of bounce ideas off of, bounce our thought processes off of, and help decide.
We do disagree on quite a few things, Caleb. So
absolutely we do. Absolutely we do. And we talked about that as we went through the schedule, kind of who we think could be a little higher, a little lower, who we're a little higher on, who we're a little lower on, things of that nature. But when it came down to it, we were able to, for the most part, come to terms and agree with, I'll give you a little bit here, you give me a little bit there, and this is how we came to the decision. And when it was all said and done, we felt very good and confident about it. Now, that being said, when we went back and looked at it, we also went, how the hell did we come up with that? Like New Orleans at 2-15. I mean, not what we had anticipated.
They're probably not going 2-15.
Probably not, but that's what we've got, and that's what we're going to stick to. Patriots are definitely going 4-13 or worse. Guaranteed. No doubt in my mind.
I don't think they'll go that. I don't think it'll be.
Get ready for a minimum of a decade of horror. Be ready. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to see how this plans out, but that's where we've got it. By all means, hit us up, talk to us, let us know. But I'll go through the playoff teams one last time. On the NFC, we've got San Fran, LA, Philly, Dallas, Green Bay, Minnesota, and Tampa. On the, was that 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, that's 7. We're good. I was like, oh 7. Shit, how'd I get? 7. San Fran, LA, Philly, Dallas, Green Bay, Minnesota, Tampa. NFC. AFC, Denver, LA, Buffalo, Indy, Cincy, Pitt, Baltimore. So we'll see how it plays out.
Thursday night, baby. Thursday night.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be real fun. Final thoughts, Pinky?
Oh, man, that was a good thing that we did. Those teams that are going like 0-17, we know that's not happening, but we just couldn't figure out what.
It's happened before, and it's going to happen again. This is what you get for being a terribly run organization.
I just couldn't see a game that like they line up and win just from picking the game. But can they win a couple of the games?
Look,
sure.
Could they beat Atlanta? Yeah, they probably could. But when you talk about teams stealing games, Atlanta steals one from Seattle. And that unfortunately means Seattle doesn't get to steal one from somebody else. Sorry. Not sorry.
Not sorry. Definitely not sorry. Seahawks fans have been too brutal this season. I actually had some try to attack me at the draft. So I am not feeling sorry for
What's funny is they're taking all their frustrations out on Denver and Russell Wilson when they should be taking it out on a very poorly run front office. Actually, an atrociously run front office. Not even poorly, atrociously run.
2012 to 2015, awesome front office. After that, they kind of lost their way.
Denver was actually an owner and a Russell Wilson shy of becoming Seattle. I mean, let's be honest. That's what it is. But luckily, we got a bargain buyer, and they're going to stack the shelves with a lot of great products at a very reasonable price because that's what they do. And then we paid a quarterback who's really good. So let's roll.
I know. We didn't even talk about his extension.
Seattle,
what a great deal.
Get your shit together. Get your shit together, Seattle. That's what it comes down to. At least Atlanta's moving in. At least Atlanta's moving in the right direction. Seattle didn't do any of that. They let Bobby Wagner walk for nothing. Atrocious. So, on that note,
good, buddy.
Hit us up. Ask us any questions. Debate with us. Talk with us. More than happy to give you our reasoning and our thought process when it comes down to it. But it's going to be fun to see what happens come Thursday night. Pinky,
yes,
cheers, my good man.
I'm all out, but yeah.
Cheers. Yeah, well, that's fine. Cheers. Everybody, as always, spend that time with your loved ones. Enjoy the finer things in life when you have the opportunity to. Cherish what you hold dear. We'll talk to you next week. We're out.
Peace.